We bring in Gary Danielson, and Gary, you and Vern got to figure out a way to get some better games. You know that?
Yeah, boy, it's hard to even anticipate, those types of games like that. That's, just thinking about, Mike, it's only happened in college football 4 times that a field goal has been returned for a touchdown. 2 of them, tons of years ago. 1 of them this year, by the way, but none in that type of situation with 1 second on the clock. And then just think of all the parameters that had to fall in place for this to happen. First of all, it has to be about a 55-yard field goal. Otherwise the ball's going to go through the end zone on the missed field goal.
Right.
Secondly, it has to be tied. Because if it's not tied, the guy's not going to run it out.
Right.
He's just going to take it and down it. And then to put 1 second back on and everything that happened in that situation. And then in the back of Nick's mind is the fact that he's already had 1 block. Also, just a year ago in the SEC championship game, he had 1 block for a touchdown by Georgia. So, I'm sure he took that extra second to tell his guys, hang in there tough. We can't get pushed back. It's likely to be a low kick. And, he put the possibility of a loss happening, and it did.
Now, Nick Saban is a smart coach. He's a great coach. We know that.
Right.
With that being the case, in my mind, he has to really believe this kid's going to make this kick, because otherwise, why would he risk a run back knowing he doesn't have people who can cover the field on the field? He must have really, in his heart, believed this guy could make this field goal.
Well, the interesting thing was, and listen, we all say stuff, even when we're in our own management personnel situation. I'm sure there was a discussion, and the discussion probably went something like, should we throw the Hail Mary? What's the odds? Or should we kick a field goal? And I could almost, predict that the special teams coach said, our guy can do it. He's good from 57. It's a 50-50 ball. And then he says, and then somebody else, or the offensive coordinator might have said, listen, it's a 1 in 10 shot for us to get, or 1 in 100 to get a Hail Mary. So he went with the 50-50, but I'm sure, and because lip readers have said that Nick, of course, Nick has the final say. Nick Saban mouthed into his headphones afterwards when it was being run back, I told you. And so I'm sure one of the situations he said is, well, we put the blocked field goal or the return in play if we do this, and he made the final decision, and I'm sure he was second-guessing himself.
Right, and I also thought, now I don't know if teams have such a player or such a way, take one of the blockers or take one of the players, and I understand you're affecting your field goal integrity, but have somebody on the wing who's athletic enough to be a center fielder just to make sure that isn't run back for a touchdown kind of thing.
In retrospect, I'm sure that's something. There is an interesting thing. I cannot verify this, but I'll repeat it because it was written, and I've talked to a couple people, and I'm pretty confident that this is true. I have seen the first part of it. I have seen Alabama practice the long field goal and cover. So I'm sure that goes as part of their special teams day checklist that Alabama's used, and I can guarantee the first half. The second half was a quote from Chris Davis himself and said, we had never practiced the return.
Wow.
It had never come up. There was no wall. It was all just a reaction after the ball was caught.
Absolutely, and he almost stepped out of bounds. And I'm sure I'm sure you especially, having done this game, people want to stop you everywhere you ever go and ask you about this game because it became a national phenomena. But also the thing that struck me, and I got home, I had taken my kids to the hockey game in the city. I got home, there was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and I watched the rest of the game. And the thing that struck me was coaches sometimes lose their way when they're vexed by their kicker in big games, and he clearly was. But the other thing was, if this kid could do this, why did he not get a chance to kick any of these other kicks?
Well, I think it's a great question. Let's kind of walk through this a second because I think it's an interesting part of the game, and Nick has been second-guessed a lot, and not by me in this area, and I'll tell you why. I think what was unfolding during this game was Kate Foster, their field goal kicker, had been a very dependable field goal kicker for Alabama all year. And I think he'd only missed one inside 40. But he's the same guy who had the awful night in the 9-6 game in 2011 that cost Alabama that game against LSU. So now what I think starts to unfold during the game is he hangs with him. He hangs with him again, he misses. He hangs with him again, and he kicks a very low kick there in the fourth quarter that gets blocked. And I think at that point he turns around and says, I'm dealing with a situation here where the demons of the past is affecting my kicker, and I can't trust them. And I can guarantee you if I was the quarterback, if I was A.J. McCarron, or maybe a little more, if I was an NFL quarterback, and if my teammate was having a Chuck Knobloch, Rick Keel meltdown, I would say, Coach, let us go for fourth and short, because that's where everybody was second-guessing Nick. It was fourth and a foot. And I would tell Coach, I have more confidence in us picking that up than putting poor Cade out there again, who's obviously is melting down here. I think our odds are better of picking up fourth and a half. Oh, it's almost a foot, okay? And what happened is they had, at the point of attack, two guys not block the guy in front of them, and they got stoned.
Yep.
I can't blame them. I thought the first mistake, the first guy who blinked, was actually Gus Malzahn at the 10-minute mark when he went for it on fourth and a yard.
I agree.
And he got stopped, and Alabama drove right down there, and then they had a holding penalty. So,
and everyone talks about all the different plays. 35, missing the block on 42. I mean, he missed it. He just missed them completely. I mean, he never even blocked them.
Never even blocked them.